Hi, I'm James Bell. I'm Head of Medical Negligence and Personal Injury at Kingsley Napley Solicitors, and I'm really pleased to be joined today by Nicole Scott and Poppy Chamber, both from Backup Charity, which is a charity very dear to Kingsley Napley's heart. We're sponsoring the family team and have been for just under a year now. I'm really delighted to welcome Poppy and Nicole into the office today to have a chat about the wonderful work that they do. So, Nicole, please could you tell me about the work you do in the family team, specifically for Backup?
Yeah, thank you. And thank you for having us here today. So yes, we support family members who have a relative with a spinal cord injury. We do that in a number of ways, and everyone in the family support team has a relative with a spinal cord injury themselves. For Poppy and myself, it's our husbands, and we have a variety of different situations within the team. So we are able to have one-to-one calls with people to support them both on an emotional level and in a practical sense. We can signpost to other areas for advice about housing and care and all other aspects as well. And we have a mentoring service at Backup, which also is a really valuable resource for people. And we have a lounge that happens every Wednesday on the evening for between 6 and 7 every other week. And then we also have an online guide which we can forward to people.
Yeah, fantastic. And Poppy, Backup's been going back 40 years so now, hasn't it? But you've got great expansion plans. And we went to a strategy event last night, which was really inspiring. I wonder if you could just tell us about the future plans for Backup.
Yeah, of course. So the strategy covers the next 5 years. So it takes us up to 2030. And we're looking to expand pretty much every service, aren't we, within Backup? And particularly looking at family support, we're looking at increasing the amount of people we support naturally, of course, but also the amount of spinal units that we go into. We want to have more of a regional presence, certainly for our strategy, don't we?
Yep.
Yeah.
And also to reach people that don't necessarily make it to a spinal unit as well. So sometimes people sort of slip through the net. The relative doesn't necessarily have that element of rehab. And so those are the relatives, especially, that we'd like to be able to help and support through what is a very challenging and difficult time for the whole family.
Yeah. And obviously it's absolutely crucial what you do, because you get into the hospital itself and get to talk to family members and injured people, and you can capture their attention, quickly bring them into the Backup community. And going to the strategy event last night, it was just really came across what a community, was the family you are, how you all look after each other, and that special sort of bond you have because you've all been through that experience.
Yeah.
So that was great to see. Just in terms of what you do, I mean, it's very practical help as well, isn't it? It's with employment. I want you to tell me about what you do there in terms of employment support.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, we've got a special team that cover vocation. So if you're looking to get back into, perhaps it might be education, it might be work, or we've got a team that will help guide you back into that. That could be a personal thing for the injured person, but it could also mean that actually the workplaces need a bit of advice. So it's Becky and her team that would help to support workplaces on making any reasonable adjustments for that person in order to go back to work, and for them to feel confident to do that as well.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And you're very unique in that you've got such deep experience, all of you, having been through this before. You can guide people through that process, because there's probably not much new you see. It's probably the same issues that are cropping up time and time again.
Yeah, there's a lot to be said for peer support, and I think that goes very far to that in pretty much every aspect of support that we provide, whether that's emotional or practical. I think, the fact that we've all kind of got that relative relation and experience there, I think people appreciate that side of it.
Yeah.
And just on the point you make, Nicole, about people slipping through the net, I finished a case just very recently with big spinal injury, which settled for a very significant sum of money. That person's life was completely affected, employment, social, emotional, psychological. And I looked back through the file this morning. Actually, they were admitted the day of the accident with a huge spinal injury, and they were discharged actually 15 days later with not very much support. And of course, that person was not in the hospital long enough really to have. They were also in a district hospital, so they weren't there to be seen by you. And also they were only in a very short period because the pressure on the NHS is to sort of move people on,
Yes.
and they didn't get great support when they were discharged. So I think I think it's brilliant what you're doing is trying to get into these other units to support people who really need your help. And you know, they're sort of left at their own devices. The physio support's not there. The social services support is not really there. If they haven't got a good family network, then they are very much alone. So I think what you're offering is a brilliant service.
And I think that's what Abigail touched on last night as well. We appreciate it is a challenge, and you know, but we are, as a charity as a whole, we are definitely up for the challenge, and the ways of trying to sort of reach people in those circumstances a little bit earlier. Our outreach team have for the last few years started to work a bit more regionally anyway. So it's getting into those major trauma centres and into those district hospitals and starting to have those connections. And if our regional outreach coordinators can do that, then we can follow suit as well. And they can also say to us, if they meet somebody that they think, you know, the relatives are struggling a little bit, then they will sort of pass them on to us, and that's where we can sort of jump in and support the whole family.
Yeah, great. Well, Poppy, Nicole, thanks very much for that brief overview, what back up to. And once again, thanks so much for coming in today. And it's been really great pleasure to hear about what you do and the super work you do. And we're really pleased to support it. And very excited to hear of your next 5 years plans. And great to hear how it's going to progress.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
It's good.